Right now, millions of people are walking around with survival advice in their heads that will literally get them killed. Suck the venom out, punch the shark, drink your own pee, play dead. You've heard all of it, you probably believed most of it, and every single word of it is wrong. These are 101 survival myths so dumb, so dangerously wrong, that the only thing they'll help you survive is a bar trivia night. 1. Someone gets bitten by a rattlesnake, and their buddy drops to his knees to suck the venom out like he's performing mouth-to-mouth on an ankle. Venom hits the bloodstream in seconds. You have a better chance of sucking the calories out of a cheeseburger. All you're doing is French kissing a wound and adding infection to the problem. 2. Unless you moonlight as Aquaman, you are not punching a shark in the nose. You're flailing underwater in slow motion while a predator with 3,000 teeth watches you wind up like a drunk softball player. Go for the eyes and gills. It's ugly, it's gross, and it's the only thing that actually works. 3. Grizzly charges you? Play dead. Black bear charges you? Fight like your life depends on it because it literally does. Mix those two up and you just became the laziest meal that bear has ever scored. Not even a chase. Just a free buffet, lying face down in the dirt. Know your bears or become bear food. 4. Bear Grylls really convinced an entire generation that drinking your own pee is survival strategy. Your kidneys spent real energy filtering that garbage out, and now you want to pour it back in. The salt and waste actually speed up dehydration. You're basically recycling your body's trash and calling it a plan. 5. Wait, people still rub frostbitten skin to warm it up? That frozen tissue is more fragile than a wet napkin. Every rub shreds cells and destroys nerve endings. Permanent damage from a technique your grandma swore by. Warm water, zero friction, slow rewarming. Sometimes inherited wisdom is just inherited stupidity. 6. Picture this. You're lost, dehydrated, and you stumble on a mountain stream so crystal clear it could be in a bottled water commercial. You drink. Tastes amazing. 48 hours later, you're curled up in a ball, violently emptying from both ends, miles from anyone who can help. Jardia doesn't care how pretty the water looked. 7. Snow is water, so just eat it, right? Worst survival logic on the planet. Your body burns critical calories melting that ice internally, and your core temperature nosedives. You're not solving dehydration, you're speed-running hypothermia. Melt it over fire first, or enjoy solving one problem by creating a worse one. 8. Find high ground and you'll get cell signal. People have climbed ridges, scrambled up cliffs, and burned their last energy reserves chasing one bar of reception that never comes. Even at elevation, dead zones are everywhere. Meanwhile, you just left the sheltered valley where rescue was actually looking for you. Your phone is not a survival tool, it's a false hope with a dying battery. 9. Rescuers have pulled dead bodies out of the desert with water still in the canteen. Full canteen, dead hiker. They rationed it, taking baby sips, trying to be smart. Your brain shuts down from dehydration long before your body does. You stop thinking straight, you make fatal decisions. Drink when you're thirsty. The water is useless if you're not alive to drink it. 10. A crackling fire deep inside a cave on a freezing night feels like the ultimate survival flex. It's a carbon monoxide gas chamber. Caves trap smoke the way a sealed car does. People have blacked out in minutes and simply never woken up. Build it near the entrance with the airflow at your back, or skip the fire entirely. 11. Every cowboy movie ever made wants you to believe you can crack open a cactus and chug refreshing desert water. That liquid is loaded with toxic alkaloids and acid that'll have you projectile vomiting in the sand within minutes. You didn't find an oasis. You found a spiky bottle of plant poison. 12. Whiskey by the campfire to warm up. The oldest and coziest lie in survival history. Alcohol shoves warm blood to your skin and pulls it away from your organs. You feel like a toaster while your core temperature quietly flatlines. People have literally frozen to death with a smile on their face. That's not warmth, that's a farewell party your body threw without telling you. 13. Who started the zigzag from an alligator thing? Was it a movie? A drunk uncle? Alligators are ambush predators. They launch from the water, not chase you across a field like a linebacker. Sprint straight, get away from the bank. That zigzag nonsense just keeps you dancing in the kill zone while the gator watches and waits. 14. Squeezing water from animal dung because you saw it on a survival show. Yes, some herbivore droppings contain moisture. You know what else they contain? Bacteria colonies that would make a petri dish blush. The sip of brownish liquid you squeezed out will give you infections that dehydrate you 10 times faster than thirst would have. Leave the poop where it belongs. 15. A tourniquet on a snakebite sounds hardcore, but it's a medical disaster. You just locked tissue-destroying venom in one limb with zero escape route. The flesh starts dying immediately, and what was a highly treatable bite just became a mandatory amputation. Tourniquets are for stopping arterial bleeding. Using one on a snakebite is like putting a padlock on a bomb. 16. Boiling water from that sketchy creek by the abandoned mine will absolutely kill the bacteria. Congrats. You're now sipping piping hot, perfectly sterile heavy metals. You didn't purify it. You made toxic tea. Boiling handles germs. Chemicals, lead, and whatever industrial nightmare is upstream, still in every sip. 17. A jellyfish wraps your leg and your buddy volunteers to pee on it because he saw it on Friends 15 years ago. Stop him. Urine can trigger unfired stingers to dump more venom into your skin. You didn't get first aid. You got humiliated on a public beach and made the sting worse. Hot water. That's it. 18. Lost in the wilderness and your first instinct is to hunt for food. Meanwhile, a blizzard is rolling in and you have no shelter. The average person survives 3 weeks without food, but barely 3 hours in brutal exposure. Nobody's obituary should read, "Died chasing a squirrel during a snowstorm." Shelter first, water second. Food is a distant third. 19. Sucking on a stone to fight dehydration. The idea is that it stimulates saliva so you feel less thirsty. You produce maybe a teaspoon of spit, swallow it, and gain exactly zero hydration. Meanwhile, you just put a rock covered in dirt and bacteria into your mouth like a survival-themed Tide Pod challenge. 20. Lightning never strikes the same place twice. The Empire State Building takes roughly 25 hits a year and it's doing just fine. Lightning follows the path of least resistance, and if a path worked once, it'll happily use it again. Standing where a bolt just hit isn't safe. It's reserved seating. 21. Tall tree, pouring rain, seems like the obvious shelter. It's also the second leading cause of lightning deaths in America. The bolt hits the tree, current rips down the trunk, and anyone within 20 feet catches a ground charge that ruins more than just your day. You picked the one spot in the forest that nature specifically designed as a lightning rod. 22. Curling up inside a hollow log to stay warm overnight. Cozy and sheltered, right? You just climbed into a home that might already be occupied by raccoons, spiders, or an actual snake. Hollow logs also trap moisture and rot, meaning you're lying in a cold, damp tube that wicks heat off your body all night. You didn't find shelter. You found a wet coffin with roommates. 23. Quicksand up to your waist, and your brain screams thrash harder. Every panicked kick creates suction that drags you deeper. Here's the twist nobody tells you. Quicksand is denser than your body. You physically cannot fully sink unless you actively help it. Lean back, spread your weight, move in slow motion. Patience walks out, panic stays. 24. Someone gets impaled by a branch and the hero yanks it out immediately. In reality, that branch was plugging the hole and slowing the bleeding. You just uncorked a wound with nothing to replace the pressure. Internal bleeding goes from manageable to fatal in minutes. Leave it in, stabilize it, and let a surgeon handle the dramatic extraction. 25. Rubbing 2 sticks together for fire. Every survival show makes it look like a 5-minute task. Without the exact right wood, bone-dry conditions, and serious skill, you'll shred your palms raw and produce nothing but blisters and regret. Even experienced survivalists fail at this regularly. A $1 lighter weighs nothing and skips the suffering entirely. 26. Follow the river downstream and you'll find people. Sometimes. Other times that river drops off a cliff, funnels into an impassable canyon, or wanders deeper into wilderness that hasn't seen a human since fur trappers. Rivers follow gravity, not Google Maps. They have zero interest in delivering you to civilization. 27. Your boat capsizes and instinct tells you to swim back to it for flotation. The currents around a sinking vessel create suction that'll drag you under like a bathtub drain with an attitude. The thing that was keeping you alive 5 minutes ago is now actively trying to drown you. Swim away first, regroup second. 28. Raw wild game in a survival situation because protein is protein. Buddy, you can barely handle gas station sushi on a good day. That uncooked rabbit is crawling with parasites and bacteria your stomach has never met. The food poisoning will have you dehydrating from both ends so fast you'll wish you'd stayed hungry. 29. Rip current grabs you, and every instinct screams swim harder toward shore. That's exactly why 100 Americans drown in rip currents every year. You will not outmuscle the ocean. Swim parallel to the beach until you slip out of the current, then head in. The people who fight the water head-on are the people who don't come back. 30. Popping a friction blister in the wild because it looks gross and feels annoying. Your body literally built a sterile, custom-fit bio-bubble to protect your raw, damaged flesh, and your grand plan is to pop it open with dirty fingernails. Congratulations, you just rolled out the red carpet for a massive infection. Leave the bubble alone. Your body is smarter than you are. 31. Car breaks down in the desert and you decide to walk for help because sitting still feels like giving up. Your car is shade. Your car is shelter. Your car is a giant metal reflector visible to aircraft from miles away. You are a tiny speck, shuffling across sand, losing water with every step. Rescuers find cars. They find footprints much less often. 32. Wolves circling and you scramble up a tree. Smart, right? Wolves can't climb. What wolves can do is wait. For hours. For an entire day if they're feeling patient. You're up there dehydrating, sunburning, or freezing, while the pack naps at the base like they're camping. You didn't escape. You just voluntarily imprisoned yourself. 33. Dry riverbed, perfectly flat, clear of brush. Looks like an ideal campsite. It's a flash flood express lane. Those beds fill with raging water in minutes from storms happening miles away that you can't even see or hear. That cozy flat ground is a highway for a wall of water that moves faster than you can lace your boots. 34. Avalanche hits, and you try to swim upward through the snow. Try swimming through wet concrete, traveling at 80 miles per hour. When the slide stops, snow sets like cement in seconds. Your only real chance is creating an air pocket in front of your face before everything locks solid. Nobody is freestyling their way out of an avalanche. 35. Sipping seawater in tiny amounts to stay hydrated at sea. Sounds almost reasonable, and that's exactly what makes it a killer. Seawater runs about 3% salt. Your kidneys max out at 2. Every sip robs more water from your body than it delivers. Sailors throughout history who gave in and drank it went mad first, then died faster than those who drank nothing at all. 36. Cauterizing a wound with a red-hot knife because you saw a tough guy do it in a movie. In real life, you're searing a third-degree burn onto an open wound, destroying healthy tissue, and turning an infection risk into an infection guarantee. It stops bleeding the way a grenade stops a headache. Pressure and bandaging. That's what works. 37. Tornado coming, open all the windows to equalize pressure and save the house. This myth has been confidently repeated since the 1950s, and it has never once been true. Opening windows does nothing except waste the 30 seconds you should be spending getting to the basement. Tornadoes don't care about your window strategy. They care about physics. 38. Dull-colored berries and mushrooms must be safe because danger is always bright and obvious, right? Tell that to the death cap mushroom, which looks like something you'd ignore at a salad bar. It's caused more fatal poisonings than any other mushroom on the planet. Some of nature's most efficient killers dress like they work in accounting. 39. Rope around your waist before crossing a river seems like textbook safety, until the current catches you. That rope becomes an anchor, pinning you face down underwater while the river drags you across every rock on the bottom. Tie it around your chest with a quick-release knot or skip it entirely. Safety gear shouldn't be the thing that ruins you. 40. Waving your phone flashlight at the sky to signal for rescue. From any real distance, that light is basically invisible. At night, a fire is visible for miles. During the day, a mirror flash can reach aircraft over 10 miles away. Your phone flashlight can barely illuminate your own shoes. Save the battery for an actual call. 41. Walk in a straight line and you'll eventually hit a road. Beautiful theory. Humans physically cannot walk straight without a fixed visual reference. Studies prove that blindfolded people walk in circles as tight as 60 feet across. Without a landmark or compass, your confident march toward salvation is actually a sad, slow spiral to nowhere. 42. Drinking from a water source because animals are drinking from it too. That deer has a digestive system built over millions of years to handle parasites you can't even pronounce. Your stomach has been trained on filtered tap water and fast food. What's Tuesday for a raccoon is a medical evacuation for you. Animal approved does not mean human safe. 43. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Great navigation advice if you live in a cartoon. Depending on the season and your latitude, sunrise can be massively skewed north or south. People have confidently marched miles in the wrong direction, trusting a fun fact they learned in kindergarten. The sun moves. Your survival plan should probably be more accurate than a toddler's science book. 44. Stacking heavy logs directly on top of each other to build a quick shelter wall. One bump in the night, one gust of wind, or one shift in the mud, and those logs are rolling. People have literally been crushed in their sleep by the exact thing they built to protect them. Notch your logs or brace them securely. A shelter shouldn't be a giant booby trap you voluntarily sleep inside. 45. Falling into cold water and curling into the fetal position to conserve heat. Wearing a life jacket? Smart move. Without one? You just chose to stay warm for an extra 3 minutes while sinking to the bottom. Swimming ugly and alive beats floating gracefully and unconscious. Get to safety first, then worry about heat loss. 46. Raw insects for survival protein. Some are genuinely great. Others are hosting a parasitic zoo that'll set up permanent residence in your digestive tract. Bright ones are often toxic. Even the boring brown ones can carry tapeworm larvae that turn your intestines into a timeshare. Cook them. A roasted cricket won't win any culinary awards, but it won't wreck your organs either. 47. Driving through floodwater because you've got a big truck and bigger confidence. 6 inches of moving water sweeps a grown adult off their feet. 12 inches lifts a car. 2 feet carries an SUV downstream like a rubber duck in a bathtub. More people die in floods inside their vehicles than any other way. Turn around, genius. 48. Using a tampon to plug a bullet wound. The internet's favorite piece of tactical first aid advice, brought to you by people who have never seen actual bleeding. A tampon absorbs roughly 9 milliliters. A serious wound bleeds a liter per minute. You'd need over 100 tampons per minute just to keep up. Apply direct pressure with real bandaging and stop getting medical advice from forums. 49. Running downhill from a wildfire because fire travels uphill. That part is true. What nobody mentions is that wildfires throw embers hundreds of feet ahead, and running downhill funnels you into valleys where heat and smoke concentrate like a chimney in reverse. Move laterally, get off the slope, and head toward already burned ground. The safest place in a fire is where the fire already was. 50. Trapped in a sinking car and you crack the window slightly to let water in slowly and equalize pressure like some calm, calculated engineer. You have about 60 seconds before that cabin fills completely. Forget the slow approach. Break the side window with anything sharp the second you're submerged and get out. Controlled drowning is still drowning. 51. Bitten by a spider, and now you're chasing it around the room trying to catch it for the doctor. While you're playing Bug Safari, venom is spreading through your system. Snap a photo if you can, but doctors treat based on symptoms, not specimens. They don't need you to hand-deliver your attacker like a cat bringing home a dead bird. 52. Storing food in your tent to keep it away from animals. You just turned your sleeping bag into the most fragrant bear magnet in the forest. Every wrapper, every crumb, sends a scent beacon for miles. Hang your food from a tree branch at least 200 feet from camp. unless your survival plan includes waking up nose to nose with a grizzly at 3 in the morning. 53. Thinking you can predict the weather by reading clouds. Red sky at night? Sailor's delight. Sometimes. Other times, a gorgeous sunset is followed by a storm that rips your camp apart by midnight. Amateur cloud reading gives you false confidence and zero preparation. Weather changes faster than your folk wisdom can keep up. Check conditions before you leave and carry rain gear regardless. 54. Cranking a splint so tight the limb can't move at all. You just cut off blood circulation. Fingers go numb, tissue starts dying, and now you're looking at permanent damage from your own first aid. A splint should stabilize, not strangle. If the skin turns blue or cold, you didn't build a splint. You built a slow-motion guillotine for your own arm. 55. Trying to cross a river at the narrowest point because it's the shortest distance. Narrow means the same volume of water is squeezed into a tighter space. The current is faster, deeper, and more violent at the skinny part. Wide and shallow is what you want. The shortcut across the river is the long way to the bottom. 56. Knife between your teeth while climbing a rock face. One slip, one unexpected jolt, and that blade goes through your cheek, tongue, or jaw. Nobody is performing oral surgery in the backcountry. Sheath it. Clip it to your belt. Looking like a pirate is not worth the reconstructive facial surgery you'll never receive out here. 57. Whittling a spear and standing in a river trying to stab fish. Every survival movie romanticizes this. The calories you burn, standing in cold water for hours missing fish, will almost always exceed whatever tiny meal you manage to skewer. Set a trap. A trap works while you rest. A spear requires you to be a full-time failure standing in a stream. 58. Relying on your phone's compass app after your real compass breaks. Phones die. Batteries drain in cold weather like someone pulled the plug. And if your screen cracks or gets wet, you've got a useless glass rectangle. Learn to navigate by the sun, stars, and terrain. Technology is a tool, not a survival plan. It quits exactly when you need it most. 59. That survival show trick where you put a plastic bag over a leafy branch and collect water through transpiration. Technically works. Practically useless. You'll wait all day for roughly a shot glass of water while burning daylight you should have spent finding an actual source. It's a cool science fair project. It's a terrible survival plan. 60. Standing perfectly still when a moose approaches because you figure it works like bears. A moose is 1,700 pounds of pure fury with the temperament of a bouncer who just got spit on. If it lowers its head and pins its ears, it's not curious. It's loading up. Get behind a tree, a car, a boulder, anything solid. Standing still just gives it a cleaner target. 61. Hydrogen peroxide on an open wound to clean it. That satisfying fizz? That's the peroxide destroying your own healthy tissue right alongside the bacteria. You're carpet bombing the wound. It kills everything, including the cells trying to heal you. Clean water and a proper bandage. Stop treating your injuries like a science experiment. 62. Big Rambo knife on your belt for survival. Looks intimidating, practically useless. You can't carve with it, you can't process small game, you can't do any precision work. A 4-inch fixed blade does everything better. That massive blade is just extra weight and a great way to slash yourself during a fall. Survival isn't a movie poster. 63. Punching through ice if you fall into a frozen lake. Your muscles stop cooperating within about 2 minutes in water that cold. Your fingers curl up, your arms go heavy, and fine motor skills vanish completely. Kick your legs, get horizontal, army crawl onto the ice, and roll away from the break. Nobody is throwing punches in 30-degree water. 64. North Star is the brightest star in the sky, right? It's actually the 48th brightest. Good luck finding your guiding light when almost 50 other stars are outshining it. People have confidently navigated toward the wrong star and walked deeper into nowhere. Learn the Big Dipper trick or just carry a compass like a reasonable person. 65. If you can see a bear, it can't smell you if you're downwind. Bears can detect scent from 20 miles away. 20 miles. Your downwind position means absolutely nothing when the animal has a nose that makes bloodhounds look disabled. If you can see it, Just assume it already knows your social security number. 66. Drinking from a vine because you saw it on a survival show. Some tropical vines do carry drinkable water. Others carry sap that'll blister your throat and swell it shut, leaving you gasping alone in a jungle. Clear liquid doesn't mean safe liquid. If it tastes bitter or burns even slightly, spit immediately. That vine isn't a water fountain. It's a coin flip with your airway. 67. Using river rocks to line your fire pit. Sounds smart. River rocks absorb water over time. Heat that trapped moisture fast enough and the rock explodes like a grenade, sending shrapnel in every direction. People have lost eyes doing this. Grab rocks from dry, elevated ground. If it came from a riverbed, leave it there. 68. Hands above your head during a flood to keep your airway high. You just made yourself a sail. Moving water catches that profile and flips you like a pancake. Keep your arms tight, feet pointed downstream, and float on your back. The goal is to ride the current, not fight it. Fighting a flood is like arm wrestling a freight train. 69. I'll just follow my footprints back. In snow, wind fills tracks within minutes. In forest, leaves and undergrowth swallow them instantly. In desert, sand shifts like it has a personal vendetta against your navigation plan. Your trail disappears faster than your confidence. Mark your path with stacked rocks or broken branches. Footprints are temporary, getting lost is not. 70. Carrying a massive survival kit that weighs 30 pounds because you want to be prepared for anything. You packed for the apocalypse and now you can barely hike 2 miles without stopping. Exhaustion, joint damage, blisters, dehydration from extra sweat. The gear that was supposed to save your life is the reason you can't move fast enough to save it. Pack light. Move smart. 71. Eating the same berries you saw a bird eating because if it's safe for them, it's safe for us. Birds can eat nightshade, holly berries, and dozens of other fruits that'll shut down a human nervous system. Their digestive chemistry is completely different from yours. A robin's lunch menu is your poison control call. 72. Starting a gasoline fire for warmth. The explosion radius of gasoline vapor is something people tend to underestimate right up until they're on fire. Gas doesn't burn like wood, it detonates. One spark near the fumes and you've upgraded from cold and lost to critically burned and still lost. Use tinder and kindling like someone who wants to keep their skin. 73. Wrapping yourself in a garbage bag to stay warm in the rain. Keeps the rain out, sure. Also keeps your sweat in. Within an hour, you're soaking wet from the inside, and wet skin loses heat 25 times faster than dry skin. You waterproofed yourself into hypothermia. Poke armholes and a head hole for ventilation, or you're just marinating in your own defeat. 74. If a snake bites you, chase it down so the hospital can identify it. You're now sprinting through the woods, heart pounding, pumping venom through your system at maximum speed. Meanwhile, the snake has absolutely zero interest in a rematch. Sit down, keep your heart rate low, and let the doctors handle identification. They've seen a snake bite before. They don't need the receipt. 75. Outrunning a wildfire. Wildfires in dry grass can move at 14 miles per hour. That's a 6-minute mile. You're not doing a 6-minute mile through smoke, over uneven terrain, carrying gear, while panicking. Find a body of water, a road, or an already burned area. Running in a straight line away from the flames is a race you were never going to win. 76. Using your car's spare tire as a flotation device in a flood. A tire without a rim doesn't hold air reliably. Even if it does, you're hugging a round, slippery object in moving water with zero control over direction. The current spins you into debris, bridges, and submerged obstacles. An actual life jacket costs $20 and doesn't require you to wrestle rubber in a river. 77. Digging a hole in the desert to find water. In certain dry lake beds with the right soil composition, you might hit moisture 3 feet down. In most of the American desert, you'll dig until your hands bleed and find nothing but more sand. You just burned a massive amount of sweat equity for a hole. Shade yourself, conserve energy, and wait for rescue. 78. If a dog attacks, shove your arm down its throat. Sure, voluntarily put your limb deeper into the mouth of an animal actively trying to destroy it. Even if the gag reflex kicks in, you've just given a powerful jaw full access to tendons, arteries, and bone. Protect your neck and face, use your non-dominant arm as a shield, and fight for an exit. Don't feed the problem. 79. Crossing a frozen lake by stomping to test the thickness. Every stomp sends stress fractures through the ice around you. 4 inches of clear ice holds a person, but you can't see the thickness by looking at the surface, and stomping is the fastest way to find a weak spot the hard way. Use a stick, poke ahead, and distribute your weight. Your boots are not an engineering tool. 80. Hot desert day, so you strip off your shirt to cool down. Your exposed skin now absorbs direct sunlight and loses moisture at double the rate. That shirt was reflecting ultraviolet rays, trapping a thin layer of cooler air against your body and slowing evaporation. You traded 5 minutes of comfort for accelerated dehydration and a sunburn that'll blister by tonight. 81. Tying your shoes tight before crossing a river so you don't lose them. Wet shoes with tight laces become ankle weights. If the current takes you under, you can't kick them off. Loose laces or shoes you can slip off quickly. Your favorite hiking boots aren't worth anything if they're the reason you couldn't reach the surface. 82. Spreading out your group to cover more ground when someone is lost. Now, instead of one missing person, you have 5 people wandering in different directions with no communication plan. Search and rescue teams have had to find the search party. Stay together, designate one signal point, and let the professionals do the spreading out. 83. Sleeping on bare ground because you have a sleeping bag. The earth sucks heat from your body up to 30 times faster than cold air does. Without insulation underneath you, that sleeping bag is working overtime and still losing. Pine needles, leaves, dry grass, anything between you and the dirt. The ground is not a mattress, it's a refrigerator. 84. You can eat any mushroom if you cook it first. Death cap toxins survive boiling, frying, freezing, and drying. You could sauté a death cap in garlic butter with a side of truffle oil, and it would still destroy your liver within 72 hours. Cooking neutralizes some toxins in some mushrooms. Not all toxins, not all mushrooms. 85. Wading through a swamp at night because you want to cover more distance. You can't see the drop-offs, the snakes, or the gators, but they can absolutely sense you. One wrong step into deep water with a heavy pack, and you're underwater before your brain even processes the splash. Swamps after dark belong to things with better night vision than you'll ever have. Wait for daylight. 86. Making a shelter out of green leaves because they're bigger and easier to layer. Green leaves hold moisture. That moisture conducts cold directly onto your body all night long. Dry leaves, dry bark, dead branches. It's uglier, it's crunchier, but it insulates instead of slowly refrigerating you. Pretty shelters are for Instagram. Functional ones are for survival. 87. Pouring water on someone having a heat stroke to cool them down fast. Dumping ice-cold water on an overheated body can trigger shock. The blood vessels constrict so rapidly that the heart can't keep up. Lukewarm water on the neck, armpits, and groin. Gradual cooling saves lives. The dramatic bucket dump makes things dramatically worse. 88. If you're caught in a sandstorm, run for the nearest shelter. You can't see it. You can't breathe. Running burns oxygen and energy while sand shreds your lungs from the inside. Get low, cover your nose and mouth, turn your back to the wind, and wait it out. A sandstorm doesn't negotiate and it doesn't chase. It just needs you to make one panicked mistake. 89. If you're lost, stay on the trail. Generally solid advice, unless that trail dead ends at a cliff, washed out bridge, or leads somewhere more remote. Not every trail goes to civilization. Some haven't been maintained in decades and will walk you deeper into trouble while you confidently follow a path that leads nowhere. 90. Using a gun to signal for help by firing 3 shots in a row. The universal distress signal. Also, the universal way to waste ammunition you might desperately need later. In dense forest, sound doesn't carry as far as you think. A whistle weighs nothing, never runs out of ammo, and carries further than a gunshot through trees. 91. Building your shelter under a dead tree for the branch coverage overhead. Those dead branches are called widowmakers for a reason. One gust of wind and a 50-pound limb drops directly onto your skull while you sleep. Look up before you settle down. The tree providing your roof shouldn't also be the thing writing your obituary. 92. Applying a cold compress to a hypothermia victim. Their core temperature is already dangerously low and you're adding cold. Warm their center mass first. Warm blankets, body heat, warm water bottles against the torso. Cold extremities can wait. Warming the wrong areas pushes cold blood back to the heart and can trigger cardiac arrest. The order matters. 93. Eating clay or charcoal to absorb poison you accidentally ingested. Activated charcoal in a hospital setting under medical supervision is one thing. Scooping random dirt into your mouth in the woods is a completely different, much stupider thing. You're adding bacteria, parasites, and whatever else is in that soil to an already poisoned stomach. 94. Swimming under a capsized canoe for the air pocket. Smart for about 10 minutes. Then the carbon dioxide you're exhaling fills that pocket and the oxygen runs out. You're breathing your own waste gas in an enclosed space that's slowly drifting further from shore. Flip the canoe or swim to land. Air pockets have an expiration date. 95. You're bleeding badly, so you pack the wound with dirt or mud to stop it. Dirt is crawling with bacteria, fungal spores, and parasites that just got a VIP express lane into your bloodstream. You didn't clot the wound. You planted an infection garden directly in your circulatory system. Clean cloth, direct pressure, and keep the forest floor where it belongs. 96. Jumping into water from a dangerous height, because water is softer than ground. At about 80 feet, hitting water is biomechanically identical to hitting concrete. Your organs rupture on impact, your spine compresses, and the surface tension handles the rest. Water doesn't care that it's liquid. Physics doesn't offer discounts. 97. Running faster than a bear. Grizzlies hit 35 miles per hour. Usain Bolt tops out at 27. You are not Usain Bolt. You are a panicking, adrenaline-soaked person in hiking boots who will be caught in approximately 4 seconds. Back away slowly, make yourself look big, and talk in a calm voice. Running triggers the chase instinct in an animal that was built for chasing. 98. Peeling bark off a birch tree and eating it for calories. The inner bark of some trees is technically edible, but most people grab the wrong species, eat the wrong layer, or consume bark loaded with tannins that shred their stomach lining. You didn't find forest bread. You found indigestible wood fiber that your body will violently reject within hours. 99. Using sand to scrub a wound clean in the field. You're grinding microscopic glass particles and bacteria deep into exposed tissue. Sand isn't soap. It's tiny rocks. All you've done is embed foreign objects into a wound so thoroughly that even a surgeon will have a bad day getting them out. Rinse with clean water. Only clean water. 100. Holding your breath and swimming through a flooded cave passage because it looks short. Underwater distances are nearly impossible to judge visually. What looks like 10 feet could be 40. Panic sets in, you lose direction, and now you're trapped in a dark, flooded tunnel with empty lungs and zero visibility. Cave divers die doing this with professional equipment. You will not beat those odds barefoot. 101. And the single dumbest survival myth of all? It won't happen to me. Every single person on this list thought they were the exception. Every hiker who skipped the map, every swimmer who ignored the current, every camper who thought the bear wouldn't come. The most dangerous survival myth isn't about snakes or fire or water. It's the quiet little voice in your head that says you don't need to prepare because you're somehow different. You're not. None of us are. So there it is. 101 ways to confidently get yourself killed in the wild using advice you thought was gospel. Now here's the real question, and I want honest answers in the comments. How many of these myths did you believe before this video? Give me the number. Don't be shy. And if it's higher than 50, maybe hit that subscribe button because clearly you need us. Drop a like if this video made you rethink everything your uncle taught you about the outdoors.